Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. My name's Carl, and thanks for tuning in this morning. And we're looking at the futures here in the market. When I first got up this morning, they were up about five, and they've just been slightly selling off all morning. And ahead of the Fed report, I don't think the market's going to do a whole lot. It's typical for the market just to be pretty flat. Okay, this morning an ADP report came out, the jobs number. Less than expected. It came in at 130,000 versus the consensus estimate of 138,000. And September was revised downward from to 145,000 from 166,000. Okay, so it's the old bad news is a good news thing. Is good news. Putting more pressure to keep the easing program going ahead of the announcement today. That announcement's going to be at 12 o'clock Mountain, 2 o'clock Eastern. And that's going to be followed by a press conference for Ben. Now, every time I think of Ben Bernanke, when he was first appointed quite a few years ago, I don't remember who coined it. I think it was Kramer. He called him Uncle Ben, and he had him on a picture of the Uncle Ben's rice or whatever that is. It was kind of funny. I don't know why I brought that up, but it was kind of funny. The CPI number came out this morning as well. Core inflation went up. Where's my notes here? I'm sorry. Core inflation held at 0.1%, and consumer inflation rose to 0.2%. Just it rose 1%. The analyst forecast for the core came in was at 2%, and it held at 1%. Now, not much of anything going on there in the CPI world. Earnings. Wow, there was earnings galore yesterday. Again, if you find a stock, it's up big or it's down big, it's earnings most likely. Okay. Legend. I know that some of you out there follow Legend, LGND. They topped by 5 cents. Revenues came in at 13 million versus a 10.8 million estimate, but they lowered their guidance. So we'll see where that's going to run today. GM beat by 2 cents. Revenues came in a couple of billion more than expected, but the estimates was lower than what the street was expecting. All right. Their estimates, the street was looking for 39.5 billion, and the estimates that they gave was right around. It seems like it was 39 billion. I didn't write that number down. 39 billion. Okay, some of the stocks we've been watching here. Walter Energy came in worse than expected. A loss of $1.68 per share. 60 cents worse. 66 cent worse loss than it was expected. Revenues came in slightly higher. Okay, the not in earnings, but Sprint reported lower iPhone activations. I don't know if that's going to weigh on Apple, but we'll take a look at that. Baidu beat by 2 cents. The revenues came in with a slight beat. Guidance for next quarter is expected to be 45% increase year over year. So some good guidance there on Baidu. Revenues came in okay. AUI, a stock that we jumped out of a couple days ago, they had their earnings yesterday. They topped by 1 cent. Revenues came in quite a bit lower. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. If it's a big beat, big miss, it might move a little bit, but overall, these companies are going to move along with the price of gold. All right, now this might affect some of the casino stocks out there. Caesar reported a loss of $6.03 per share versus an estimate of a loss of $1.31. Revenues were lower as well, 2.18 billion versus 2.24 billion. All right, so looks like Caesars might be under a little bit of pressure today. LinkedIn, a couple that I know some of you guys were watching yesterday. LinkedIn, they topped by 7 cents. They guided lower. They had a price target raised by Jefferies at 280. Came came to the side of LinkedIn. Yelp, not good. Yelp's down quite a bit pre-market. They reported a loss, 3 cents worse than what was expected. Revenues came in at 61 million versus 5.5 million. They raised some guidance, but they're under a lot of pressure this morning. Some of the upgrades, downgrades, Alaska Airlines, and I know we've got people from Alaska out there. I'm not sure if he's up this early, but they were started as a market perform by FBR Capital. Now that's a pretty easy call to make, to set a stock at a market perform. Most stocks are going to perform kind of like the market anyway, especially the bigger ones, if they have any type of a market weight at all. But anyways, they got a little bit of a upgrade or whatever you want to call that. Baidu, a lot of that, we saw on Tuesday how everybody and their dog came out around Apple, and then Baidu, same thing. Lots of upgrades today. They got upgrades, price targets anywhere from the 200 to the 220 range on Baidu. I just think it's funny when companies announce good and all of a sudden everybody and their dog comes out, hey, let's give them an upgrade and let's raise the price target on them. Yeah, anyways. Facebook was upgraded by a couple of firms out there to buy. CNX was downgraded to neutral. Another stock we've been following here, U.S. Steel, X. They got a downgrade this morning to a hold by Deutsche Bank. And we talked about this one yesterday in the top three. Nike got an upgrade to overweight from equal by Morgan Stanley. Now wait a minute. So an athletic shoe company got upgraded to overweight. Is that good? Overweight, get it? I had to throw that one out there. But they did get that. They got an upgrade this morning by Morgan Stanley. Nice choice of words there for an athletic company. All right, well, our positions this morning, running through them. Looks like TLT is coming up. I need my glasses. Jeff, if you're there, bring me some of my glasses. I can't see the red right here very good. I can see the green fine. It seems like it's coming out pretty even. SLV, so silver is up this morning. Silver is up this morning. When I looked at it last, it was up 45 cents. Quite a bit. Thanks, Johnny. TLT is set to gap down just slightly. Just slightly, about 10 cents. 8 to 10 cents down, which is nothing for TLT. Had a really nice run into the close yesterday. I can see now. Thanks, Jeff. SLV, so silver's up quite a bit, and SLV closed yesterday at about, well, it's out in trading now. It's up 50 cents. It's a nice shot in the arm for us on SLV. Now, I was hoping for a pop in silver this morning. I was hoping for it just because it held up so well yesterday. I mean, that thing didn't do anything. When it could have sold off, when gold was selling off, for it to SLV just to hang in there all day long, if it went negative, it was by 1 or 2 or 3 cents. That was a very promising sign for me. I was hoping for a gap, and it got it this morning. Starbucks up quite a bit this morning, up $1.12, and running a little bit this morning. Okay, just running through the list. Let's just go over to stock charts. And I want to put this trend rider on TLT. TLT down a dime, about what we expected. All right, let's run over to SLV. SLV up 50 cents. Okay, now I like this action here. 22s have been a little bit of resistance for it. It opened just underneath it and is pushing higher. Now this is, of course, way early on in the day, but initially SLV looks really good. We're going to watch this one. And then XLE. Pre-market, they were flat. Let's see where they're at right now. Okay, they're up 17 cents. We're going to keep a close eye on this morning. We might be backing out of this if we don't see a little bit of reversal here. Like to see that a reversal come in. Okay, some of the other stocks I want to look at. Nike. It's up 73 cents. Got a nice upgrade from Morgan Stanley. Some of the other stocks. Let's look at Caesar. And then I want to look through some of the gaming stocks. Yeah, Caesar, not a good earnings report. Gapping down 50 cents this morning. Let's see if it put any other pressure on some of the others. Yeah, non-Las Vegas Sands, they're up 62 cents. For Las Vegas Sands, a push here above the 72 mark. And above, if I bring in the Vibe template, this would be a Vibe entrance. Okay, so for a Vibe entrance, let me show you what we're looking for. For Vibe entrance, right, we want all of the major averages up, which they are. Now we're looking for a strong push up through the 7 at this point, like we saw right over here. Right around that area. If we get another move like we're seeing, another push up through 72, kissing up off the 7 like that, would be a very strong signal that this thing's headed higher. If we don't, if this thing turns around and goes and runs back below the 7, that'd be a very bearish signal for it. So we got to watch for that today. MGM was one that I looked at yesterday. Now we're looking at a 1-hour chart here. MGM, they're gapping up slightly as well. So I guess Caesar's miss is everybody else's gain so far, what we're looking at here. With these bands so tight, let's watch to see which way this breaks out. If it breaks up above 21, be very bullish and this thing's running higher. If it breaks down here below 20, very bearish into that lower band. Either way, this thing at this point could go either direction. The other one in here is Wynn. Yeah, they're up as well. They're all gapping on Caesar's miss. Same thing. This would be very close. Same thing as Las Vegas Sands. A push higher from here would trigger a Vibe entrance. Let's run through the banks. Bank of America, a push lower today would be very appetizing for a put play. I liking that. We'll watch that one. If this starts to run down, it'd be a great setup. Now we looked at, well, let's not go there yet. Let's look at some more financials. So Goldman Sachs, gapping up slightly this morning. Positive sign for them. Wells Fargo, another gap. JP Morgan, and a little bit of a gap, not quite as much. Oops, not Goldman Sachs. I want to look at Morgan Stanley. Okay, I want to run through some of the cards here. Visa, a little bit of a pullback. Capital One. Capital One's one we looked at yesterday, right? And what we want here would be another Vibe entrance for this thing to push up here, bounce up off the 7-day average, pushing up through 71. If you get some volume along with that, stock's off to another leg higher, likely to go through 72 and up into the $74 area, 73 to $74 area, which would be $2 to $3 move for that stock. Could pay off nicely. Okay, now we looked at Google yesterday, and Google was pushing up nicely off of the 1020 mark. Okay, so it's gapped up, has run down, now trading the negative here. A reversal here and a run up through today would likely shoot this stock much higher. Now this thing is just hitting the $20 mark. Every 20 bucks it's finding some resistance up in these higher levels like this. U.S. Steel, remember they got a downgrade today, gap down 47 cents. After a huge day like that, the 47-cent gap like that is nothing technically to speak of. Not much going on there. Another one we talked about yesterday was Broadcom. Broadcom up 7 cents this morning, just kind of hovering there. We'll watch this one. This had a nice looking trend rider entrance yesterday. To push up here, a push higher today would be nice. It's a kind of a slow mover. It's not one that runs real fast. It's just kind of a steady mover throughout a day. So we'll keep an eye on that. But that was a good looking chart. And the other one we looked at yesterday was Applied Materials. Had a nice buy entrance yesterday. It's still battling that $18 mark. Just flat this morning, down a cent. But a push higher here, up in that upper Bollinger Band, would be a trend rider entrance. Had a decent looking bull vibe entrance yesterday. I'm going to run over to United Airlines. I know that some of you were in this yesterday. It seems like you got out right at the close. And it wasn't this one, it was Tesla. Tesla showed, remember yesterday, Tesla showed, it's not a picture perfect, but all the principles there of a Dragonfly Doji, which is a sign of some strength. It's up this morning. The test here is going to be that 7-day moving average. If it bounces back below the 7, odds are it's going to break 160. 160 has been a pretty big level for it. It gets down through that level, it's going to drop for a while. Not much, not a whole lot, not technically, nothing's blown yet for a sign of more downside. Unless it closes up through the 7 today, getting up into that 170 area. That would be suggesting more upside. But right now, this bit of an open is just sitting there testing the 7. Let's look at Yelp. So Yelp gapped down and has run up. That's what that red hollow candlestick means. It gapped down to 62.5. It's trading at $65 basically right now. So it's up about 250 from where it opened this morning. Who knows? By the end of the day, this might be positive. Or it might roll down to 60. You just never know on these stocks that have just announced earnings. AUI. I wanted to look at this one. So this is gapping up to a pretty interesting level, gapping up to 10. That was prior. So we were hoping to be a new support level for it. Okay, yesterday it went flying through it on some pretty good volumes, but today gapping right back up to 10. Very interesting level here to be able to look at AUI. A push here up off of 10 up through the 7 like that would be very, very bullish. NEM, I know Jeff, I've been watching this one. So far a gap up and it's running. Now the price of gold this morning was up about $9-10. Oil was down $1. Let's go look at some. Let's go look over at XLE and see what that's doing. Remember it's not directly correlated with oil. More so, kind of with the market. Okay, so it ran up a little bit. It's pulling back. It's only at 15 cents right now. Look at Baidu. So Baidu gapped up to about 170. It's pulled back. It's trading at about 167 right now, just under 168. Jumping up into the upper Bollinger Band. 170 is probably going to be a number for it to. It could be resistance. To move up through that level. This stock could be up to 175. It could be down to 160 today. These earnings announcement. When I was day trading, occasionally I would go out and play some of these high flyers that just announced earnings. It was quite a rush. Legend, we talked about Legend this morning. And Legend topped by 5 cents. Revenues came in higher, quite a bit higher than expected, about 3 million, 2.5 million higher than expected, but they lowered their guidance. And it's just flat. It's not doing anything. It's one of those that apparently doesn't do a whole lot during earnings. I'm just looking at back in the past. Yeah, there's a little bit of action right here. That's likely their earnings announcement. Let me zoom in on that for you. Likely their earnings announcement right here. That's quite a candle. Wow. From 47, just under 47.5, it went all the way down. It dropped $10, and by the end of the day came up almost positive. That's a very volatile day for Legend. Okay, let's look at LinkedIn. So they came out gapping slightly lower. Remember, LinkedIn topped by 5 cents. The revenues came in. Oh, wait a minute. I'm on the wrong. Topped by 7 cents. They guided lower. They had some people coming out raising the price target on them, but and when an earnings announcement, most of the time they can beat numbers, they can beat revenues, but if they guide lower, that's what the market sees, because earnings is coming from the past. A guide for the future, a lot of times it's going to push it down, and that's what it's doing. Down 13. It's about 5.5% right now. It's still trading at the lows of the day. We're really early on. Who knows? This could be up here at 255 by the close, but right now it looks like it's going to stay down. Let's go take a look at Petrobras. Now these guys, they beat, they gapped. Now it's pulling back a little bit. Apple, a big day down like that, to see this little tiny candle like this, very bearish for Apple. Again, it's early on, but this little bit of candle is not showing much strength right now. This could come down into the $500 level. If it runs below the low of yesterday's close, very bearish sign saying it could come down to the 500 mark, if not 490. Okay, now let's take a look at AIG, Cigna. Some of the stocks that we were looking through yesterday. Cigna's gapped above the 7 here. No type of an entrance in this. Now watch United Healthcare. For this to close above the 7, if it pushes back below it today, would be a very tempting signal to short this. And the next level for it, probably right down here to about the $65 range. Pretty decent support, 66, 65, 64 is the biggest of the levels there, but that would be very bearish price action. You get a strong candle pushing back below that 7. RTN, it's up 15 cents. It gapped a little bit higher. It's just right there at the $82 mark. Still in the upper Bollinger Band. If you happen to be in this, nothing to worry about right now on Raytheon. Okay, let's go look at Honeywell. Now Honeywell, if it could get a push up here off of 87, you get a nicer candlestick here. A big strong push up of 87 in the 7-day moving average. If I bring in the vibe here, that'd be what you're looking for in a vibe entrance. All the major averages in a locked up position. A strong move up here off of 87 would propel this thing probably up towards the $90 level. All right, so keep a close eye on Honeywell today. Walter Energy, so look at that. Walter came in worse than expected. Remember, a loss of $1.68 per share. That was a 66-cent worse loss. And they gapped down, and now they have turned positive. If this gives a nice bullish engulfing pattern here, let me bring in the trend rider. This could be set to move. If this gives a nice bullish engulfing pattern on an earnings miss like that, the stock's just set to run. It could give a viable entrance, but so far, very early on, really bullish price action on a company with a miss like that. Okay, GM up to almost 3%. Based on their earnings. I want to see how that's affecting Ford. Not a whole lot. It's gapped slightly higher and just kind of sitting there. In chat, we got Jeff talking about the best new trade setup out there, NEM, and I'd agree. Okay, I really like this setup because you look at that. It gapped up, back on the 22nd. It's run down, and now it's pushing back up off the 7. It's got a really strong candlestick right now. I like the setup, and you could, it's got the principles of a rising 3, right? For it to confirm a rising 3, it's got to close above this right over here. This point. Let me zoom in on that. Would be about right there. To anticipate that wouldn't be hard to do on today's early price action like that. Okay, that would be confirmation of all the principles of a rising 3 pattern. It's not a perfect one, but and that's what I trained on yesterday. I talked about the entrances that I like to find. I mean, I go out and look for the vibes and the trend riders, but I also like to find vibe and trend rider setups supported by candlestick patterns, chart patterns, the trends and volumes, and all these things to help make those a little bit more accurate. And they're already accurate by themselves, so that just increases it a little bit. Okay, Sprint. Remember, they reported lower than expected iPhone activations, and so far, run back over to Apple. It's running a little bit here, but again, if this turns over and runs negative by the end of the day, closes below yesterday's low, very bearish for Apple. Watch that throughout the day. Another one we looked at yesterday was Walgreens. I want to look at them. Okay, let's go look at Hun. Thanks, Matt. So far, so good. I mean, it's down 5 cents. This trend looks to continue here. So Huntsman Chemical. Yeah, local billionaire owns Huntsman. Well, started Huntsman. Very bullish price action. So it got a nice gap and run yesterday. Today, gap down, running higher into the upper band. So far, this price action is very positive. It's about 50 cents away from the 7. Not too bad. Okay, on a $22 stock, but a push up above 23. If you happen to be in this, ride it with that band. Just stay in it as long as it stays in that upper band. When it closes back inside of it, that's your exit. Pretty easy call there, but so far very bullish price action. Okay, and then People's Bank. Right now, it's got up through the 7. We're just taking a few days here. We're coming back to it. A push here up above the 7. If this happened to reverse today, would be very, very bullish on it. If you're in the trade, I'd watch this 7-day average. A close below it, and really, I'd probably give it to 1440. Then I'd get out if I'm long in it. If I'm bearish, a nice move below the 7 right there would be what you're after. And this is just kind of channeled between 14.6 and 14. Yeah, it's spent a few days up here a little bit higher, but overall, that's been about the channeling range here. a run below the 7 right here is likely going to take it down to the 14.20 mark, if not $14. But as far as any type of an entrance right here right now, I don't see it. To get bullish on it, again, it's got to, if it happens today, great. If it happens tomorrow, a push up above the off the 7 up through the 14.6 mark would probably push this thing. I don't see any huge moves here. It might get to 15. Initial resistance is going to be just above 14.8 there on the probably the upper Bollinger Band. All right. And while you're on that, while we're on this one, let's go look at KeyBank. So for KeyBank here, it's jumped up here, a really nice run, about $1.50, and it's just kind of flattening out up there. The bullish thing here would be a push up through the 1275 mark. It's right on the 7 basically. That would be a very bullish breakout for it. The bands are contracting, which means if it does break up into that area, it might not hold it. A run down through the 7, I'd want it to get ultra bearish on it. I'd really want it to break down not only through the 7 but down through 12.5. That would be the point to get bearish on that. And when I look at Key, I got to look at Zion. Are we in a bear trap? A push back below the 7 on a little bit of volume, that would be a nice setup. And the stock's likely to run down into the $27 area on a push down below the 7, and even breaking down through the 20-day average. Remember, the 20-day average is that dotted line running through the Bollinger Bands. Okay, I want to look at T-Mobile. It's been on a nice run. AT&T. I type in T and it just comes out T-Mobile. So it's been on this huge run, and a little bit of gap slightly higher. It's run a little bit positive. It's still trading in the Bollinger Band here. If it closes in, if you're in a trade on this, and I believe some of you are, if it closes inside the band, get out. But right now, it's way too early to make any type of a move here. Okay, I'm going to run through our positions again. Let's go look at XLE. This is the biggest concern for us. Up 15 cents. It is pulling back a little bit. We're going to watch this really close. We'll pull it here if we don't see some weakness coming into this. All right, and SLV. Now the SLV this morning gapped up about 50 cents. It's right there. It's up 48 cents. It still looks strong. I like to trade SLV. You get these moves, and it really starts to pay off pretty fast. And so far, we're getting it. Let's just let it continue, right? Continue to ride it. Pushing up the upper Bollinger Band would be nice, but so far, so good. We'll take that. And then also TLT. Now, TLT this morning, gap down. Remember, about 10 cents. Now it's trading down 7 cents. A nice positive move for it would be a push up here off 108. We might get some action on this around the Fed's announcement. Bernanke and them. And really the odds I would believe would favor us here. Okay, so we'll watch these positions throughout the day. Looking forward to a good day today. It's a nice weather out here, and I'm looking forward to being with you all day. So I'll be here with you all day long. If you have any questions, anything you want me to take a look at, put them in through chat. Jeff's going to be here as well. And if we do make any type of changes, we'll let you know. If not, we're going to run with these throughout the day. But have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.